Hello, good morning, students. Again, we are back with the lesson Lost Spring Stories of Stolen Childhood, in which, during the last two videos, we spoke about the first part of this chapter, in which we came across the character Sahib, a rag picker. And we also saw that how Anis Chand, the writer, became acquainted with this boy, and then she started knowing about him and she felt very bad about the exploitation and the poverty that persisted, about these immigrants, though illegal, the way of their living and the way how in a very distressed position they all lived. But for them, all these things meant nothing till they were getting their food time to time and they don't have to go to bed empty stomach. Also, we saw that how Sahib at the end, got a job in a tea stall where he worked for 800 rupees and all meals, but still he was not happy because he was no longer his own master. This is what we people have seen in the first two videos regarding the first part of the chapter, the Lost Spring. Now let's move on to the next part, the next character, our very dear Mukesh. Now about Mukesh, let me say something. Mukesh, just like Sahib, a small child, a young child, is working in a bangle factory. But he has a lot of dreams in his eyes. He wants to be a motor mechanic, not a bangle maker. Now the life of the bangle makers is being portrayed over here in this chapter. And we will come across really the very hazardous and the conditions in which these people work. In one way, sacrificing their life. My dear students, we will see in this Mukesh, his family, the life in which these bangle makers live in. What is the reason behind? They are not coming up with a proper solution to have a better life. So let's continue with this chapter's second part. I want to drive a car. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I'll be a motor mechanic, he announces. Do you know anything about cars? I ask. I will learn to drive a car, he answers, looking straight into my eyes. His dreams loom like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his own town, Firozabad, famous for its bangles. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glass blowing industry, where families have spent generations working around furnaces, welding glass, making bangles, for all the women in the land, it seems. Now Mukesh, the hero of the second part, when the author speaks to him, he says that, I want to be a motor mechanic. He makes an announcement. Then our author asks, do you even know how to drive a car? He said, so what? I'll learn how to drive a car. And he gave this answer looking straight into the eyes of the author. And his own eyes seems to be like a mirage. You know what a mirage is? When you, like in a hot weather, when you drive on the road at far end of the road, you might feel that as if the water is there. But when you go near to that, you will feel that nothing is there. It's a mirage, just an illusion, imagination. So his dreams hangs like a mirage in his eyes, between the dust of the streets of Firozabad. Now let's come to this town Firozabad. This Firozabad basically is very famous for its glass blowing industries in the entire India. And every second family or other family of Firozabad is busy making bangles. And here the families big, small, from generations. They are working around furnaces. You know what are furnaces? The hot places where the things are melted down, then welding glass, making bangles for all the great ladies of this land. You all know that in India, bangles means of a great importance for the Indian ladies, for the Indian women. Let's continue. Mukesh's family is among them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures, in dingy cells without air and light, that the law, if enforced, could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces, where they slog their daylight hours, often losing the brightness of their eyes. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. He walked down stinking lanes choked with garbage, past homes that remain hovels with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded with families of humans and animals, coexisting in primeval state. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot, and pushes it open. We enter a half built shack. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. On the ground, in large aluminium platters, are more chopped vegetables. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Not much older in years, she has begun to command respect as the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of the house. Already in charge of 3 men, her husband, Mukesh, and their father. When the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face, as custom demands. Daughters in law must veil their face before male elders. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bangle maker. Despite long years of hard work, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his 2 sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. Okay, my dear students, let's see the family of Mukesh. Mukesh family is like any other family of Firozabad, busy in making bangles, and they don't know that it is actually illegal for children like Mukesh to work in glass factories front of hot furnaces at high temperatures. They are just dingy cells, very compact areas where no proper air and light is there. And if they know that if the law is enforced, means if the law is implied, around some 20,000 children will be out of these hot furnaces. But then nobody cares. And in front of the hot furnaces, they slog, they work in the daylight, and often they lose the brightness of their eyes. When she asked about Mukesh's house, his eyes beamed up, it gleamed, it shined, and he was very happy to volunteer to escort the author to his house. He said that my house is being rebuilt. And then they walked down. You know which place? Stinky lanes. It was choked up, filled with waste, garbages. And they moved past many homes which were like hovels, ruins, where walls seemed to be crumbling, shaking. Anytime it may fall out, collapse. Wobbly doors, shaking doors, no windows at all. And in the same house, It is crowded with families of humans as well as animals, like how in the olden days people used to live in caves and all. And then he stops front of one house. My dear students, generally when we reach house and we want to go inside, we open the door and then we go inside. And you know how Mukesh went inside his house? When he reached front of the one of the house, he banged, he kicked open with his leg the wobbly, the hanging door over there. And then he pushes it open and they all entered. Means he and the author entered into a half-built shack. Half-built shack means it was like an open area where the roof is being covered with grass, straw and all those things, dried straw, hay. And in one place, a small kitchen has been built up in that shack, where on top of the stove in which firewood was burning, was sitting down, means was kept a large vessel, a big utensil in which spinach, palak, leaves were cooking. And on one side, other side, means on the ground only, aluminium platter, means a big plate was lying down in which chopped vegetables were lying down. And then front of the stove, a frail, means like weak, no, not a properly nourished person, a frail, not too healthy lady, young woman, was cooking the evening meal for the family. Now who is this young lady? She turned and she looked at the author. Because of the firewood, the smoke was going in her eyes, and through the eyes which were filled with water, she smiled at the author. Now who is this young lady? She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Yeah, you got it correct. She is the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of the family. Though she was very young, but in a very young age, she had been shouldered with the responsibility of being the Bahu of the house and the in charge of every need of 3 men in the house: her husband, her husband's father, and her husband's younger brother. And whenever the older man, means her father-in-law, enters the house, she brings the veil, you know, ghungat, veil, closer to her face. Because, you know, it's the custom in our country that the daughter-in-laws, the bahus of the house, are not supposed to show their faces, and they have to veil in front of the male elders of the house. And here the male elder is an impoverished bangle maker, the one who is not having the basic amenities to provide. And for long years, this old man had worked very hard. He was a tailor at the first place, and then he became the bangle maker, and all these years, even after this much of slogging, he could not even renovate the house properly, and he could not even manage to give proper education, proper schooling to his 2 sons. Only thing that he could impart to these 2 sons of his was what he knew, that is the art of making bangles. My dear students, this is what the family of Mukesh looks like. Now, we will continue with this chapter in our next class. In the previous video, when I completed the first part, I said about not discussing now the questions. So after completing this second part, I will discuss the questions of this chapter, and also I will give you the extra questions of this chapter. As I have informed you in my very first video, through the query section of the website, you can make your queries through the email. So please stay tuned with the videos, watch all the videos, remembering that these videos, these lessons cannot be repeated. So please, my dear students, stay updated and be in continuous touch with the videos and the lessons. Till then, goodbye and stay safe.